Books, books. I like books. I'm gonna read them all. Hi readers, Chris here. Welcome to my channel where I review fantasy, Stephen King, all sorts of books, and today I'm going to be talking about the Luminaries by Susan Dennard. Buckle up because this one's going to be a little bit of a rant, but I don't want to be that person that's super negative about a book that other people may like. So I am going to start with something positive about this book and end with something positive, and then I'll tell you what I really think in the middle. So first of all, here's my 1-minute setup. So we have a young girl named Winnie Wednesday, and she lives in the town of Hemlock Falls. This town is like surrounded by this enchanted wood, and the woods are filled with monsters. So there is a group of like elite warriors known as the Luminaries that protect the town from the woods. Winnie has wanted to be one of these luminaries like her entire life, but in the beginning of this book, her family is in disgrace for something that her father did. However, she kind of back end gets this chance to participate in the trials to become a luminary, and she ends up coming across some monsters in the woods that no one's ever seen about before, and shenanigans ensue. That's really all you need to know going into this one. So first, let me start off with what I liked about this book. I would say I do actually like the main character, Winnie. I think Winnie does go through a bit of a personal journey in the book. She starts out as, you know, this girl who's very she is not accepting the fact that her family is in disgrace for something that her father did, and her father's no longer in her life. So she's kind of like, why is her family still being punished for something my father did? Like, they think her family isn't loyal to the cause, but Winnie's not willing to accept that. She wants to go out and kind of forge her own path. So I appreciate that about her. I also appreciate that she's not willing to give up. She finds herself in many situations throughout the book that are scary, especially for a young girl. Like, this is a YA story, so she's a very young girl. She's only 16, and she's put in these life or death situations fighting monsters, and she's not scared. Like, she keeps going. She's very courageous. So again, I appreciate that about her. That's kind of where the appreciation ends, though. So let's talk about the world building. Having read this book, I am very confused on where the town of Hemlock Falls actually exists. So what I mean by that is right in the beginning of this story, like literally chapter 1, page 1, it says what as follows. They say that spring never comes to the forest by Hemlock Falls. What is true is how different the spring is in Hemlock Falls from the rest of the world. So that to me suggests that this could take place in our world, and this Hemlock Falls is just kind of this secret village that no one knows about. However, throughout the course of the story, you learn that there are many more luminary settlements outside of just Hemlock Falls, and there's settlements of other types of creatures. So that makes me feel like, well, maybe this is a special world, an alternate world where all these magical things take place. The point is here, I don't know. I don't know. And that was a question that kind of was never answered in this book. So I just kind of had to accept that I wouldn't really know in this book. I had to accept that I would never know that. The second thing about the world building that really threw me off, that I had to expect, was the naming of the characters. So in the town of Hemlock Falls, it's basically run by all of these families, of which there are 7 main families. And they're all the days of the week. So there's the Wednesday family, the Thursday family, the Saturday family, etc., etc. And of course, every family has their own set of like skills, right? One family is in charge of training young luminaries. One family is in charge of research. One runs the school. One does weapons, you know, stuff like that. And honestly, I thought that was a really corny choice. Like, it was a really corny choice. I felt like the author sat down and was like, ooh, how can we do something similar to Hunger Games and Divergent? I know, we'll use the days of the week. I could have gotten past that, or I could have looked past it if it wasn't for the fact that every single character, every single one, even the ones that you've already met previously in the book, have to be introduced by first and last name. Every single person has to have last name, day of the week. And even though we've met them before, like there's a young boy named Jay, and we constantly have to say that he's not just Jay, he's Jay Friday and Jay Friday. And it's like, okay, I know who he is. You don't have to keep repeating his day of the week last name, but the book does. And so that was really distracting and really took me out of it. So if you can't tell, already going in with the world building, I struggled. As far as the characters go, I didn't have a big problem with the characters. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I liked Winnie. I thought she was a fine character. But I feel like the rest of the characters, honestly, I don't feel like I got to know them very well. This is very much Winnie's story, and everyone else is very much a side character, like emphasis on the side. We really don't get to know a lot of them, and we don't spend enough time with them to get to know them. So I don't really have an opinion on any of the other characters because, again, I don't feel like I know them at all. And then we come to the plot, and this is another space that I have a bunch of problems. So let me start with the writing of the plot. And for this section, I really need some of my author friends out there to tell me if this is normal or if I am crazy. So this book is written in what's known as third-person omniscient tense. So that means that this story is being told by a narrator. But the narrator is not one of the characters in the story. They're like an outside person. So it would be like me reading a story to you, telling you, and I already know what's going to happen, but you don't know what's going to happen. So that is the tense of the story. However, there are a couple small points in the story where I feel like the perspective changes from third person omniscient to like, it kind of seems like first person, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not an author, so maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to read you an example here. And again, I need someone to tell me if I'm crazy or not. So in this scene, Winnie is trying to get ready for a party. So this paragraph says, Winnie shoves out her glasses. She still lacks a birthday gift for the twins, and a fancy outfit definitely doesn't exist in her wardrobe. And then it says, in parentheses, though she would never wear her Save the Whales hoodie, haha, end parentheses. But she also doesn't want to disappoint Bretta and Emma. So that part in the parentheses, she would never wear her Save the Whales hoodie, haha. Like, what is that? What is that? I guess you could say it's a narrator saying that, but like, that just feels like a really weird thing to say. A really weird thing to say. And there were a couple examples of this type of language, and I'm like, who's telling me this and why? And it's so weird. But anyway, maybe that's just me. The other thing I found really annoying is that this book doesn't end on a cliffhanger. Oh no, oh no. This book just stops. It like stops. It feels like it stops mid-chapter. So this is not a complete story. This is not a complete story by any means. It is chapter 1 of a larger story. Like not even part 1. It's like chapter 1. This book isn't even that long. It's chapter 1. And I am like so beyond annoyed by that. So beyond annoyed that the story just hard stop. I really don't like that. Really don't like that. So anything I was like remotely interested in finding out, it's just not there. Okay, so clearly you can tell I didn't really like the writing, don't really like the plot. I thought it was pretty not great. There's a lot of loopholes, there's a lot of things unanswered, and I'm never going to read the next book, so I'm just never going to find them out. I did say I wanted to end this review on a positive though, so I will say that the only other thing good about this book, in my opinion, is the monsters. We only got to meet like 3 different types of monsters in this wood, and allegedly there's tons because they reference this compendium. They reference a compendium, which means you need to have a whole freaking guide of different monsters, but yet we only really meet like 3 of them. So, okay, that's not sounding like a positive. Okay, back up. The positive is that during the story, Winnie meets a new monster that isn't in the compendium. And I think the new monster, the way this new monster is explained, is kind of like this pale blue light in the forest. It's kind of formless, but she knows that it's like dangerous. And I think that's kind of a cool visual. It's kind of like, you can see in the back flap here, there's like this light in the woods. So that would be the only thing that I would be interested in learning about. Like, what is this light? What is this force? What's going on with that? So just to wrap this up, the world building I found a little bit confusing. The characters I think were pretty generic, although I did like Winnie, and I did like the evil mist in the forest. And then the plot I extremely disliked. So I would say if you're looking for, you know, a dark YA fantasy, some dark foresty type vibes, there's plenty of other options for you. I can't recommend this one unless, like, you just absolutely have to read anything that comes out. But again, be warned, if you want to, at least make sure you have the second one, which isn't out yet, because you're going to be really annoyed at the ending. So those are all my thoughts on the Luminaries by Susan Dennard. Roscoe says he's not even interested in that book. Okay, I won't make you read the book, I promise. Oh, double trouble today. Double trouble today. Yay! So those are all my thoughts on the Luminaries. Now I want to know from you, have you read the Luminaries? If you did, I sincerely hope you enjoyed it more than I did. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments section below. And as always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, please subscribe to my channel for more bookish stuff and more furry friends coming your way soon. All right, everyone. Happy reading.